Welcome back, everyone, to another live episode of Questions and Answers, all about the piercing questions you have, and I'm doing my best to answer as many of you as I can. Now, my name is Scott Wilkinson. I'm a professional body piercer, and I have been since 1994, so I've been at this for a little while. And on the other side of the camera over here, we have Jared. So everyone say hi to Jared.
Hey, everybody. I'm going to be asking the questions, reading through chat, and just interacting with everyone here today. So we can't wait to get started.
Absolutely. Now, before if you guys are asking some questions, make sure you ask thorough questions. Try to add in what might be the problem, how long it's been. The more thorough the question, the better I can answer these questions for you. So how's everyone doing today?
All right. Well, we have some hellos. We have a question right off the bat from Emily, which we'll get to in just a second. But we also want to say hi to Natalie, and Israel Lopez says, you're Israel's favorite piercer.
Well, thank you.
All right. So for the first question we have, Emily Sakuma says, my teardrop dermal of 3 years doesn't lie flat anymore. It doesn't necessarily look like it's rejecting. There's just more space between the dermal top and my skin than there used to be. Does it mean it's rejecting? Should I get it removed?
I would say keep an eye on it. It is rejecting. Most dermals will eventually reject. I've seen some that have lasted like 10 to 12 years. I think that's about the longest I've ever seen. But sometimes they do slowly surface, and it might take years for it to completely reject. So if it seems like it's getting too thin or sitting at too much of an angle, or those bumps start showing up out of nowhere, then it's time to take it out.
All right. Some more kind words. Natasha says hello from Newfoundland.
Hello.
Also, hi from Louisiana from Speed Demon 45. Now, Ray Pind wants to know, how did you grow that magnificent beard?
Well, I'm a cigar smoker, so I blame it on the cigars.
Oh, they cause the beard to grow longer.
I think it does.
That's science.
I'm not sure. I've always had a beard. I've always had some sort of facial hair. I've had like handlebar mustaches and whatnot, but I don't know. I just feel more comfortable with hair on my face like this. It seems to suit me. I've shaved my face. If you look at some of the old videos, you can see where I did shave it because I was getting my neck tattooed at the time. But it's kind of weird seeing myself without any sort of facial hair. So
we all agree.
Yeah.
Thank you to Israel Lopez. Luke A says, not a question, but a piercing shop I used to go to only charges 10 pounds for piercings, and they are amazing.
Wonderful. Is that 10 pounds plus the cost of the jewelry? I mean, how much is the pounds compared to here?
I'm not sure what the current exchange rate is. I can get back to you on that.
Yeah. So there is a certain point where things are too cheap, where it's under the cost of our proper expenses to do piercings. So if it's too good to be true, somewhere there's corners being cut. But if you found a great shop at a great price, that's awesome.
Exchange rate looks pretty close to even. So it'd be in the neighborhood of $10.
It's tough. Then how are they making profit? So yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
But if you're happy, we're happy you're happy.
Absolutely.
All right. Sioki Bloom says, hello, happy Wednesday. I've got my back dimple dermals done a few days ago. How do I take care of them properly?
Okay, so what you're going to want to be doing is, number one, trying to baby them, let them get settled in there. You don't want to be, if you're sitting on a certain chair, couch, or something, and it's causing them to be extra sore, that's what you need to try to avoid, and just be aware of them. Same thing with pants. If you have pants that are rubbing up against it, you're going to have nothing but problems. So lower rise pants for a little while. But to clean these piercings, you want to get a wound wash spray. I like Neilmed. And it's just basically like sterile saline solution with a nice fine mist dispense. And you just kind of spray it directly on your piercings. After maybe a couple minutes, take a paper towel, roll it up into a nice point, and you want to clean under the disc to wipe out any crusties. Be careful not to hurt yourself. And if it hurts too much, you need to back off and maybe soak it a little bit longer to get those crusties off. That's the main thing here, is don't touch or play with it, but keep the crusties off from causing irritation.
All right. Kathy Clayton says, hello, I watch you all the time.
Hello.
A piercer from Indiana. So we're glad you're here,
Right
Kathy. Margot Van Coolwig says, hi, in March, I sent photos for the What Should I Get Pierced sitting series. Oh, excuse me. Am I still coming in line, or should I send it again? You are still in line. We're working our way. We didn't want to leave anyone out. So everyone who sent a decent picture that we can use, we're trying to work our way from oldest to newest, and we're not leaving anybody out. So don't send extra pictures. It'll just confuse the system.
Yep.
But
we're working our way through one at a time, and Do we know where we're at here yet at this point?
October 2021, and we try not to keep people out, but
Yeah.
some people don't.
October 21, I think, is where we're at right now.
All right.
So we're working our way through them. We're trying.
All right. Follow-up question from Emily Sakuma, who has that dermal that seems to be making space.
Yes.
If we got that removed, can we get it re-pierced in the same spot? Can I have a new dermal put in?
Yeah, absolutely. If it rejects all the way out, it actually leaves a bigger scar and it makes it a little more difficult for it to settle in there properly. So go talk to your piercer, see if it is coming out like that and it's starting to surface and you're not happy, have it removed, and maybe in a month or two, you can get it redone. I would suggest giving it some healing time, let the tissue kind of resettle. Some piercers will resettle it again right away, but sometimes it falls back into that same position. So that's why I like to let it heal.
All right. Snipes Pro 95 says, "Hey Scott, I got my side labret done 2 months ago and it still hurts and I can't fit short bars. 7 millimeters is too short." So it sounds like we're still fairly swollen.
Might be. Sometimes if you have just a larger appendage in that area, like a thicker lip, it's going to there's more tissue to heal. Now, the second thing I would say is take a look in the mirror. Now, typically you want your piercing to be perpendicular as possible. If you're going an angle the long way through there's going to be sore spots for much, much longer, and it's going to have to be a longer piece of jewelry. So make sure it's going through the shortest distance possible, and it's nice and straight. The other thing I would say is, are you using any sort of alcohol mouthwash? Because you generally should be using alcohol-free mouthwash with any oral piercings. The alcohol is going to prolong the healing process and make it hurt a lot more.
All right. Natasha asks, what size is a conch bar supposed to be? Is there like one standard size?
I would say the closest to a standard is going to be a 5/16 of an inch, which is conversion. I'm so bad at these conversions.
We got to get you a little
7 or 8
chart.
millimeters, something like that. Yeah, I need a chart here. But anyways, 5/16 is generally what I use on a lot of people because you have to give a little bit of room for swelling. But again, everyone's anatomy is different. If you have a thicker conch, I'll start with something bigger. I generally don't like to start anything smaller because they do swell. And if you got something too tight in that area, it's really, really tough to change out the jewelry. So I make sure you give room for any sort of swelling.
That's just a hair under 8 millimeters.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Jared.
All right. Question from Rihanna. Does placement matter in regards to the rejection of navel piercings? My piercer pierced mine when I was 18, and I always felt like she didn't pierce it right or through enough skin. So if it's not deep enough, does that make it lend itself to rejecting?
Not necessarily, because it kind of depends on the angle of your belly. Some people, the shape and the angle of it varies enough to where it seems like either it's going to be angled in more, so you only see a little bit on the top, or it might be a little taller. Another thing to look at is your belly button. Is if you kind of pull down on your belly, and right above your belly button, you'll see a natural bend. That's kind of like the apex of the navel piercing. That's typically where I'm trying to put them, is like right in that little tiny curve at that top of that little arch of the skin when you pull down, if that makes any sense. It's really hard to say without seeing, but if it's too shallow, I don't know. Was it a healing problem?
No, I just want to know if it's more likely to reject in the long run.
No, the rejection is going to be if there's not enough ridge. It's not about if it's really, really shallow, it could reject, but you're trying to get a ridge. If you have a ridge and it's still kind of shallow, it still can heal.
And if you're not happy, it's really, take it out, massage it up, let it feel better, and get it pierced again. Exactly what
Jared said. If you're not happy, you don't like the looks of it, talk to your piercer first. Say, hey, can we take this out and redo it? Because you might not have the anatomy to actually go deeper too.
Okay, so you do want to discuss it with them and not just assume.
Don't just assume that it can go deeper. Talk to your piercer first.
All right. Question here from Dave W. I'm not certain I understand it, but we'll give it a shot and see if we can work our way through. We had a PA put in about 6 months ago. Does a stand get pliable, or do I still need to properly stretch it out?
I'm not sure I understand either.
All right. I just thought sometimes I ask questions that I don't understand, and you can pull some meaning out of them. All right.
I wonder if you're wondering about stretching. Like naturally, it's going to, the hole will get bigger. I don't know if that's what the question's all about. I keep looking at this mic stand here thinking it's the camera. We moved it just a little bit. It's messing me up today. But anyways, the hole's naturally going to stretch on its own. Sometimes people put bigger jewelry in there and it stops the stretch from happening until it stretches bigger again. And then that's how people end up with a really large gauge Prince Albert. You don't have to stretch it out if you don't want to, but the hole will naturally get a little bigger on its own, just freestanding on its own. Hopefully that helps you out.
All right. And if that didn't answer your question, just clarify for us, Dave, and we will try to answer that for you. Gabe Gaming 22 says, hi, Scott. I just recently got my snake bites done a little over a week ago.
Right on.
And it's gotten a little more red and crusty than before and has some thicker crusties. Is this something to worry about? So we're red, we're crusty.
Every piercing situation is going to be different, depending on lifestyle, the piercer, the quality of the jewelry in there. So there's a lot of factors in there. Hopefully you're using the wound wash spray and only an alcohol-free mouthwash. You said, was it a week ago or 2 weeks ago?
A little over
a week ago. Hopefully the swelling should be gone down by now. Generally, you get swelling about 3 to 5 days. Sometimes it lasts about a week. So you might be at the tail end of that the rough part of the swelling, the body trying to repel it out of the body. And by now the body says, well, it's staying in. That's why the swelling goes down. And then the true healing process kind of begins. So it should start getting easier real soon.
So nothing to worry about yet, Gabe. Trenton Dickey says, I think I'm about to try a handlebar mustache.
Right on.
Recommend
I love
it.
handlebars.
Do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Get crazy with the facial hair, people. People love it. So fun.
Q Moon P says, hello, Scott and Jared. Any recommendations for dealing with granulomas? I took my nostril piercing out and it's been a month and there's still a small granuloma. Greetings from Germany. Now, first of all, what do we mean when we say granuloma?
That's kind of like that scar tissue, the piercing bump pretty much is a lot what we're talking about here. It's kind of a little buildup, little growth. Sometimes it's on the inside. I think we might be talking the inside of the nose, actually. Generally, Mederma, scar tissue remover, kind of helps get rid of it and massaging it and working it down. Any piercing, if there's scar tissue, you can dissipate a lot of that once the piercing's out. That's the best I can really kind of describe that.
So by massage, you mean you're physically grab the nostril and massage it between your fingers,
inside and outside, and just kind of work it, and it'll break down that scar tissue and go back to normal.
Okay.
And it gets the blood flowing in that area, and it works really, really well.
All right.
Might be uncomfortable if it still hurts. It might need to wait a little bit longer before you do that. And applying that's how you apply the Mederma.
Okay.
You put a little bit on there, and you physically massage that Mederma in there and kind of try to break it down at the same time.
Don't just put it on and expect it to work.
Lightly wipe it on there. Yeah.
All right. So hopefully that helps you out, Moon. And we're glad you're here from Germany. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Natalie Howlett says, my daughter has her doff done and she's had it for 8 months and she has a bump/blister. Any tips? Thank you.
First of all, there's several things that can cause these bumps. Number one is going to be earphones or earbuds. So if she's wearing any sort of thing inside her ear, it's not going to go away till you get rid of the source of the problem. So you might need to back off there. Second thing I would say is the size of the ring or the piece of jewelry that's in there. Curved barbells, if they kind of twist inside there, that curve will cause that bump to happen. That's why I don't pierce with the curved barbells. And if the ring is too small for the depth of the piercing, generally you want to have, about a third of it, and about 2/3 of the ring actually showing. So if there's too much ring inside there, that will cause the bump as well. Then you need a larger ring. That's about the best I can really do there. So check on the jewelry and make sure she's not causing the irritation.
All right. So that should be awesome. Natasha O says, you are both amazing. Thank you, Natasha.
Thank you.
That.
You guys are all so amazing too. Oh, and by the way, if you haven't hit the subscribe, make sure you hit the subscribe. It does help us out.
Absolutely. It'd be super awesome. Spirit Box wants to know what your thoughts are on the piercing stigma in the workplace. Like the fact that some workplaces don't want you to have piercings or that it might stop you from getting certain jobs. What do you think on all that?
There's certain times where I understand it. If it's going to cause a hazard, like if you're working in a machine shop and you're not allowed to wear any dangly clothes, rings, because they can get caught on that. It's the same thing with body piercing. So if it's a safety situation, that makes sense. In the food industry, sometimes cooks, things like that, they don't want things falling into the food. So they're afraid it's going to fall out. And that's gross if you're eating some food and you have some body jewelry inside your food. So that kind of makes sense too. it should be situational up to the manager. As long as you have secure jewelry and you're fine, it should be okay, in my opinion. Other times it's just appearance, and they're saying it's unprofessional. It's getting better with time. I've been doing this since 1994, and back in the day, like there was no chance I would have ever gotten a job looking like this. But now I could get a job at a lot of different places. People actually have facial tattoos, hand tattoos, and they're getting normal jobs, which is pretty cool. So it still may seem rough, but there is progression, and it does keep getting better and better. It's just a matter of time before it's really socially accepted. I mean, I think over half of society has some sort of piercings, tattoo, or some sort of modification at this point. So sometimes I understand it, sometimes I don't, but that's life. Sometimes rules just don't make sense.
That is life.
Yeah.
Ashlyn N says, hey, Scott, I got an industrial a month ago and was wondering when is a good time to downsize it?
I would have to ask how your piercing's feeling. If it seems like there's a lot of extra bar on there, generally for cartilage piercings, I like to wait closer to the 2-month minimum mark before I start downsizing, just so we don't actually damage that fistula, which we're trying to heal. Cartilage takes a little bit longer, so I would say about another month.
All right. Speed Demon 45 says, I've been wanting to get either spider bites or snake bites and was wondering if it would interfere with me riding my motorcycle. I wear a full face helmet and I don't want that to cause a problem.
Now, I really haven't had much experience with helmets, so I don't know with lip piercings. Jared, do you know if you've ever worn full face?
I've worn full face helmets. I think on your lips, you should be okay.
Yeah.
It comes pretty snugly over your chin. So I think like a chin piercing would be a no-go.
Yeah.
But by the time you're talking about your lips, I think you'd be able to kind of like keep them from touching that.
I would think the issue might be the initial healing process, because we have to have oversized ones. So they're going to move back and forth. And if there was some sort of thing pushing it in, that might cause irritation. And might want to give it a good, couple weeks before you downsize, or a month before you downsize. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So yeah, it should work, but
that would be my thoughts.
Get back to us and let us know.
If anyone else has experience with this, let us know in the comments.
Awesome. Will Jones has noticed that you have a few more piercings than your profile picture shows. It might be time to update.
Ooh, that's
good point.
What is new? Is it the eyebrows are new?
Yeah, the eyebrows.
Yeah.
I think you've probably switched a lot of the jewelry.
I added an earring here. Yeah, doff, but you can't see that inside there. Yeah, I've upgraded to a lot of gold. So you're right. Maybe we should.
Because there's that. The video starts with that close up of your face on the black background. One of those very first pictures we took.
Yep.
Very fun. Thanks for the recommendation, Will. We'll get on that. That's pretty cool.
I always change. I love getting pierced, and I'll never stop.
Comment, I think earlier we were talking about how much it would cost to do a piercing and stay profitable. Snipes says piercings ain't expensive to be profitable. You can pierce on $20.
You can, but the cost of the jewelry and the supplies, the cleaning process, and if you're in a shop, you're paying rent and you're also paying electricity. There's a lot more to it than just the cost of supplies alone. That's why I'm like, it's kind of scary. Like, are they making all their money off tattoos and they're just like saying piercings are this? Then it's possible. But as far as like pulling profit in it, it's kind of tough. That's all I'm saying is it's tough.
And you showed me some interesting things with needles.
Yeah.
That like you can find needles that cost a penny a piece.
Oh, for sure.
But they